Hey guys, today I am doing a book review. I have 3 books that I've read. One of them being, if you saw, is from my recent book haul that I did as for my first video. And then the other ones, I'm in a book club with my aunts and cousins. So these other 2 books here are from the last month and then the month before book reading. Basically, let's start with the first book from the book reading from the book club that I'm in. It is the Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel. I have to say, nostalgia at its finest. Basically, in this one here, they put both the stories in one. There's one part and then there's the second part. And in the first part, it goes, basically, you're reading about the whole beginning of the Sanderson sisters and the whole storyline of this. Then it gets to the second part where it talks about, the new part of the story. I got this one because I just loved the front and, of course, the side. Basically, this story is basically about the Sanderson sisters. I cannot talk today. The Sanderson sisters and how they want to basically take over the world, and live forever. Their story kind of, the storyline begins like 1693, and the same year that they died, 1693, and then goes and fast forward to 1993. Then, I want to say it was, and then with the second part, it flashes forward 25 years. And where Danny and her brother and Allison are adults. Allison and Max end up getting married, and they have a daughter named Poppy, and she has a good guy friend who's obsessed with science, and then she becomes friends with this other one that's, apparently, the most popular-ish in the school, and then they become friends. She ends up having a crush on her. Anyways, she took them to the Sanderson sister house where she's not supposed to go at all, because after what her parents went through, they banned a lot of things in her life. And basically, her friend brings a Ouija board, basically. And then she's like, yeah, let's go, to the Sanderson sister house. And it's supposed to be all fun and jokes. And somehow she says a spell, not realizing it. And which then, spoiler, if you haven't read this book, I would really kind of scroll on up or whatever. I don't know how to do this timestamp things yet. I am still new to all this. But her parents, Max, Danny, and Allison, and her aunt, Danny, are swapped with the Sanderson sisters. And she has to find the moonstone, destroy the moonstone. That way the spell doesn't get complete. And her parents can come back, and her aunt can come back, by sun up. But if not, basically, the Sanderson sisters were going to do sacrifices of children and bring back other witches. And for, every children that they took, it would be replaced. So basically, everybody that was being replaced was going to hell. And that's where they were when they're not there. But I have to say, this is a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I am a huge Hocus Pocus fan. To be honest with you, I am big into Halloween. It is my birth month. And so it's just it's in my blood and in my nature to just love anything spooky and Halloween-y, if that's a word. That was the first month's book club read. And then the next one is The Couple Next Door. And I have to say, this was a page turner. It's the kind of book that you get into and you just cannot put it down until you finish it, basically. And I finished this within less than a week. And I have to say, and there will be maybe a few spoilers in this. Basically, it's about this couple. The husband's Italian. She's not. um, and they get married against her mom and stepdad's wishes. Her real dad died of a heart attack in front of her, so she had a very traumatic experience, and so it altered her and everything. But they went next door to a house party, and they left their baby at home because the babysitter canceled on them because her grandma was in the hospital and they needed to say their goodbyes because she wasn't going to make it. And so if you hear my dogs in the background, I am so sorry. Anything that passes by, animal, person, or car, they bark. Anyway, basically, every 30 minutes, they would go check on her. She was gone for a longer period during like 11, starting at 11, because she always fed the baby at 11. And then he went back about 12:30, and then they don't get back home from next door until after 1, and then the baby's missing. At first, when you read it and you think, oh, the dad did it, because also there's video of him taking the baby out of the house and taking her to the garage and handing her off. And just at the end, like during the whole story, you wouldn't think that the grandfather had any part in this, but this book has a lot of twists and turns, and I have to say this is kind of like a thriller mixed with modern day like horror, because like think about it. Yeah, okay, it was stupid of them to leave their baby at home, but anyway, but think of the horror that they went through, being labeled as suspects and stuff, even though they were technically, one of them was innocent, but then the other one was also set up, not knowingly, that it was his father-in-law's fault. But the end of the story, basically, the stepfather fell in love with the woman next door that threw the party for her husband that she's married to, but anyway, was having an affair with that lady's stepdad. And he was wanting to leave, but knowing that, he had his own business, but knowing that his business wasn't doing well, and he was only staying afloat because of her mother's money, he basically tried to swindle her out of millions of dollars by being the one that planned the kidnapping. And then he ended up murdering his partner, who wanted to back out, like, during it, I believe. And so it's a must-read, 5 out of 5. I definitely will read again. Any book that is basically up on my bookshelf is stuff that there are some that I haven't read yet, but everything that I have read, I have reread, like, millions and millions and millions of times. Okay. Lastly, 5 Feet Apart. I read this within like 3 days. I mean, it would have been 4 technically, but because on the 3rd day I was not home all day long, and so I wasn't able to read. But then the next day I read it all. This is also something that just sucks you in. It's basically a book about this girl named Stella. She has CF, cystic fibrosis. And she has this long list that she created of reason why she should live. Then you find out that why she made all that lists, of reasons to live and what to live for and everything, because her sister died and on a trip that she was supposed to be there, and she basically kicked herself in the butt ever since. Wondering if I didn't get sick and I went, would she still be alive and everything. And then she falls in love with this one guy that's got this bacteria bit. So he's got CF also, but he contracted this B something or whatever, however you say it. Anyway, where he was taken off the transplant list. Basically, it's a death sentence for people with cystic fibrosis. Anyway, she started out hating him, and then they ended up falling in love with each other. And in the midst of all that, she loses her best friend, who also had CF, which is like a real tear-jerker. So I had to fight back tears with that also. And then also when she was, after she lost her best friend, she went through a rebellion bit, like short-term, very short, where, like, the hospital that she is in overlooks this area with lights and stuff, like Christmas lights that they, that they bring out every year. And so she wanted to go there, but she wanted to walk there. And in the midst of walking there, something happens. She falls off this bridge and onto the ice. And she's fine, but then the ice breaks and she falls in and she couldn't get back up, basically. And he has to do CPR and mouth to mouth. But she got a text beforehand talking about new lungs that were coming. She has 3 hours. She needs to, where is she? Get back to the hospital. And then somehow they knew, so they had the boy that she fell in love with, mom text him about, hey, Stella's getting new lungs. Where are y'all? Get her back to the hospital. She has 3 hours. And he got a little upset that, she didn't want to take that chance because she wanted to live. Eventually she gets back to the hospital, and luckily, she takes those lungs because he, begged her to. But anyway, he ultimately made the sacrifice of, still loving her, but he knew in order for her to live, he had to be out of the picture, which was even a big tearjerker because, it's just sad. But she gets the new lungs, and then, 8 months later, she's somewhat healed a lot, and she starts living her life, and they run basically back into each other in the airport, but they still stay the 6 feet apart. And yes, this is also basically off of a soon-to-be major motion picture. It came out last year. I have not seen it yet. I want to. I love this book. Yes, and it's 5 stars for me here. So basically, that is my review for these 3 books. It's just, wow. When I really get into something, I can, get down with reading. This one took me a little bit longer. It took me almost the whole month because at the beginning of the reading bit, I was doing really well. And then school started, and with all this online stuff, and then, I was stressed out, I was worried, I was trying to have to redo my whole entire life schedule because of, COVID, and, because I had, a schedule that kept me occupied during the day when my kids were off at school, and now I had to switch that and everything. But I kind of found a happy medium that worked, and I'm able to keep, my schedule is how I had it, plus more added to it, and so I'm enjoying it right now. I think I probably will go crazy when they go back to face-to-face, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you would like to. Hit that notification bell if you have subscribed, and I will see y'all next time. Bye, you guys.